Good afternoon, everyone. Robert Maletti with Chicago Title here. Thank you for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. And today we have the great pleasure and a huge blessing to have Jay Obernolte here with us. He's the Assemblyman for the 33rd District. And this is a very busy man, so we definitely appreciate the time that you've given us today. Thanks, Jay.
Not a problem.
Beautiful home. Thank you for letting us come here and spend a little time with you. We definitely appreciate it. I was doing a little homework on you, and I was blown away, honestly. I was reading through all of your accomplishments, personal and business-wise, and I'm thinking to myself, if I could have done half of what you've already done in your lifetime, I would feel pretty accomplished myself. He's been in Big Bear for 20 years. He married Heather back in '96. He has two sons, Troy and Hale. Graduated from UCLA with a master's degree in AI, that's artificial intelligence. Opened Foresight Studios in 1990, where you guys have developed video games for Sony, Microsoft, and Apple. 25 employees that you employ currently there. Three-term president with the Big Bear City Airport. He was the mayor from 2010 to 2014. In 2014, he was elected to the 33rd District as an assemblyman, and then just re-elected just recently. Is that right?
That's right.
I was going to try to get all that done in one breath, but that probably wasn't going to be possible. So, on the personal side, why Big Bear? What drew you here?
Oh, I think Big Bear has a unique set of qualities that make it a fantastic place to live.
Sure.
So, my wife and I were married in Yosemite.
Oh, wow.
At the little chapel at the valley floor. So we really like the mountain lifestyle and setting, the
absolutely.
natural beauty. But I wanted to open a business, which means we need access to infrastructure, we need access to transportation,
Sure.
We need to go out and see our clients, and so that was an important consideration as well. In Big Bear, we've got the natural splendor, we've got the four seasons, but unlike the Midwest, when we get snow in the winter, it's not gray and overcast for weeks at a time. It's the sun comes out the next day.
Very true.
So that's great. And then just the location of Big Bear, being here in Southern California, although you have that rural lifestyle, you're just an hour away from anything that you want.
Correct.
If you want to go down and see a Ducks game, you can.
Yeah.
If you want to go down, we've got the high desert, we've got Palm Springs, and then a lot of my employees will go out to Las Vegas on the weekend, just a few hours away. So you've really got the best of both worlds.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're just hop skipping away to the beach. I mean, you're just right there. Kind of a nice central location. Foresight Studios. You opened that up in 1990. What do you do there?
We develop video games.
Wow. Okay.
So we do console video games for platforms like PlayStation 4, Xbox One,
Sure.
Nintendo Wii and Wii U,
Wow.
PC, we also do Macintosh, but about half of our revenue these days is on mobile platforms. So we do apps for iOS, for iPhones and iPads, and also Android phones and tablets.
Okay, wow, that's perfect. Now, when you graduated from UCLA, what year was that?
That was 92.
Okay, now that really impresses me, because the AI, the artificial intelligence kind of side, it's something that seems to be new to me, but you were already deeply involved in it back in the early 90s. So this was something that you've prepared for a while, and now with all the technology going on right now, you're just running with it, which is just super impressive to me.
Well, actually, a lot of people have suggested to me that in politics, knowledge of artificial intelligence is a useful thing to have.
There you go. Very good. And I also read that you're a martial art student. What draws you to martial arts? Why?
I really like martial arts as a form of physical exercise.
Sure.
And also it's really well suited to people who believe in self-motivation.
Oh, yeah.
Because progress in martial arts is just measured by what you are going to commit to and what you are going to make yourself do.
Sure.
And it's very clear that anyone can progress as long as you have a motivation to do it. So I studied karate, Shotokan karate in high school, got up to almost my brown belt, I was a green belt, and then left for college. And it was always one of my lifelong regrets that I never had finished my black belt.
Sure.
And when I came here to Big Bear, there was a karate school here. It was opened by a man named Jerry Fisher, who had founded his own style. He was a professional boxer, and then after his boxing career was over, got black belts in a number of different martial arts, and put all of those together into the things that work best for fighting.
Okay.
And he opened a bunch of schools, and then his students opened schools, and I think they had, 30 or 40 schools in the system.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then he sold his last school and retired. They had a cabin in Big Bear. They'd had it for a decade. And that was what he wanted to do, is when he was done, he'd sell his schools, retire to Big Bear. They did that, and then they got bored.
Yeah, got it.
So he said, you know what, I'm going to open one more school. And so he opened the school in Big Bear, which was great because in the ordinary course of things, we would not have that caliber of a martial arts school up here.
Absolutely.
So I started up with him, and I got my black belt, and started instructing there, which was a lot of fun. And,
wow.
Really kind of inspirational for me.
Yeah.
And then he was diagnosed with cancer and went through some pretty difficult years. Yeah. And I bought the school from him to ensure the continuity of the school.
Gotcha.
And then when he passed away, ran the school for a few years and then sold it to another one of his students.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And your 5th degree.
Yes.
Is that what I understand? Wow. That's impressive. One of the other things that I was super impressed about, and I left this towards the end on the personal side, you have a pilot's license. Mm-hmm. And you volunteer for the Veterans Airlift Command, where you help with transportation, getting wounded veterans back and forth to wherever they need to go. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that's a really rewarding
Absolutely it is.
Activity to participate in. So a lot of times these veterans, and we're talking about people who have lost major parts of their bodies, so double or triple amputees, and they have a lot of pride, and as they should have.
Sure.
And it's very difficult for them to travel commercially because they have to be carried onto and off the airplane.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they have other kinds of physical problems that make it difficult for them to travel. And so the Veterans Airlift Command exists to pair those veterans that need transportation. And usually it's to, sometimes they're giving speeches to inspire other veterans. Sometimes it's for medical treatment, quite often. So they pair those veterans with transportation needs up with willing pilots. Wow. And so, it's an organization I've been involved with for a few years. It's we had last year we had probably my most memorable flight, where we had a veteran who had been diagnosed with brain cancer. Oh wow! And he could not travel commercially. Yeah. But he could travel privately along with his nurse and his parents. Sure. And he was a lifelong 49ers fan and had never seen, I'm sorry, Raiders. Lifelong Raiders fan, had never seen a Raiders game in person. No way. And the Raiders offered him sideline passes and some special seating and the opportunity to meet the players if he could find a way to get up to Oakland, which was difficult for him to do. I think he was in San Diego. Yeah. And so we volunteered. We went and picked him up and took him up there, and that was really heartwarming to see that. And it wasn't 2 weeks later he passed away. So to be able to do that for someone at the very end of their life was really, really rewarding. Absolutely, especially all the sacrifices that they've made for our country and the freedoms that we enjoy today. That was huge for you to do that. Thank you for doing that. That's a great story. I definitely appreciate that. Switching gears a little bit, and I thank you for taking the time to talk on the political side a little bit, because I know you deal with this all day long and you probably just want to get home and just kind of decompress. So. As an assemblyman, what are your daily responsibilities? What do you do? Or is that a way big open door question? No, it's actually something a lot of people wonder about, and the honest answer is that we all define what we think is important about doing the job. Sure. And I'll tell you what's most important to me. I mean, a lot of people think the job of serving the legislature is in Sacramento, and it's true that I spend a lot of time up there. Sure. But honestly, the most important part of my job is not going to Sacramento, it's not voting, and it's not passing my own legislation, even though I've had a lot of success doing that. Yeah. The most important thing that I do is I represent 500,000 people before the vast bureaucracy that is the state of California. Sure. And people don't realize that is the most important part of what we do. Yeah. And anyone that has a problem, any one of my constituents that has a problem with any department of the state of California can come to my district office and get help. And we try and evangelize that to people who need help with, the DMV. Yeah. You need help with vehicle registration, getting a driver's license appointment, we can help with that. Employers, if you need help with the employment development department, you got a problem with workers' compensation insurance, we help with those things. Employees help with unemployment insurance. Franchise tax board, no, I tell people we cannot make your tax magically disappear, but we can cut through the red tape, we can figure out why you owe what you owe and who to pay it to, and try and work things out for you. So. That is really, I think, the most important thing that we do, and I take that part of my job very seriously. Absolutely, absolutely. We definitely appreciate that. Any legislation that you see, affecting the real estate community, positively or negatively, that's come up and that may be coming up in the future, or just recently, sitting on your desk, or anything that you can think of? Sure. I think that my biggest concern is that I am a firm believer in Prop 13. Okay. And I believe that when back in 1977 when the voters of California passed Prop 13, that was a virtual line in the sand where they said this is a reasonable level of property taxation and not anything more.
Yeah.
And in the years since then, periodically there have been efforts to weaken the provisions of Prop 13, and so far it has stood the test of time.
Great.
And I think if you look at the ways in which California leads the nation, Prop 13 is one way that we changed the landscape of the entire country, because many states followed in our footsteps.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in recent years, the attacks on Prop 13 have become more frequent.
Sure.
And I am very fearful that, that this year there will be another attempt to weaken Prop 13, and I think it might be successful.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, we have one party now in the supermajority in both chambers of the legislature, and I don't think that that's a healthy thing for California, and I firmly believe that I would be saying that even if it was my party that was in the majority.
Gotcha.
Because I think the opposition party has a purpose,
Sure.
you know, to kind of find that balance in between various constituencies and various viewpoints.
Okay.
So I would not be surprised if there was another attack on Prop 13 this year. I would suspect that it's going to take the form of maybe a split roll, which is, as you know, is when you split off commercial properties and you say we're going to treat those different than residential properties. Even though residential properties, you get baselined and then the rate of increase is capped.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to put commercial properties in a separate category. That's splitting the tax roll. It's called split roll.
Yeah.
I think that's where it starts, and the reason it starts there is it's the politics of division.
Yeah.
If you look at, we just recently approved last month an extension to the Prop 30 tax increases.
Okay.
And we didn't, you know, what was on the ballot was not extending the sales tax, which everyone pays.
Sure.
It was only extending the taxes on high income people.
Got it. Okay.
And I think the reason why people voted for it is that, well, okay, it's taxing somebody else.
Sure.
It doesn't affect me, so it's good for our schools, so I'm going to vote for it. And I think that the arguments are going to be very similar to attacking Prop 13. And I'm afraid that if we let the camel's nose under the tent, proverbially, that all of Prop 13 is going to get thrown out after that.
Sure.
So that's thing number one. Thing number two, just this week, a bill was reintroduced in the legislature, a bill left over from last year, that was unsuccessful last year, but it's to impose a $75 per instrument recording fee on real estate transactions to fund low-income housing.
Yeah.
So we just found out that will be coming back again this session.
Okay.
And we'll see if it has a different fate this year than it did last year. But those are two things that I'm very concerned about.
Gotcha. Okay. So we all need to keep those in mind and just stay involved. Okay. Understandable. Well, it's been good talking with you today, Jay. We definitely appreciate you opening up your home to us and letting us come in and take some time from your day. Thank you so much, sir.
Not a problem.
All right.